Hey guys, modelrailroadbenchwork.com here. I just thought I would go over the differences between Gargraves and Ross custom switches track. Since I'm building an O-gauge layout here, I figured it'd be a good opportunity. So on this particular layout, I'm actually using Ross custom switches. So the nice thing about Ross custom switches is they're well engineered. They actually have nails on every single tie, and it looks actually really nice, especially after you weather it. It's a good quality track. It is, however, more expensive. But from the side profile, you can see it actually looks like rail. See if I can get that in for you. And it's a nice track. It lays flat. Their straight track in particular actually stays straight because it's actually got a wooden binder in the back of it that's actually glued in and holds it in place. Whereas the Gargraves track has a little bit different profile. The rails are actually folded and actually pressed into the ties. So there's no nails here. It's not glued together, and this stuff is actually pretty bendy. So even here you can see that I can twist it pretty easily. On the plus side is it makes it much easier to work with. So Gargraves and Ross. So Gargraves here, it's 37 inches long per piece of flex track. And then the Ross track is actually 29 inches long per piece. And I don't actually recommend you buy their shorter stuff. You know, they make a 14.5-inch segment. They also make a 10-inch and a 3-inch segment, I believe. But realistically, if you're building a big layout like this, just get the long ones and cut it to size. Same goes for Gargraves. So cost. So Gargraves is a little bit cheaper, and I actually did the math for you. So Gargraves retails for $10.95 a stick, which ends up being about $3.55 per foot. Ross, on the other hand, sells for $12.99 a stick, and that's running about $5.38 a foot. So it really depends on what you can afford and what your intentions are. If you're going for something that looks really realistic, use Ross. If you're looking for something that's still going to look really nice, but it's going to be more affordable, you're going to want to use Gargraves. In either case, you can actually mix and match the two, and I actually do recommend that. So Ross Custom Switches makes some really nice switches. Gargraves actually makes some switches as well, and they're actually really nice. I've used those on a layout before as well. But I do prefer using the Ross Custom Switches mostly because they have a larger variety available. It makes it easier to design layouts in the future. So, but these two track pieces can actually be used together. They interchange. So give me a second here to push them together. So, and when you're using these tracks in either case, you actually want to go ahead and put one pin in and then slide the other pins in and then just wiggle back and forth side to side. And it's the same process to take these apart. Never pull up or down. It'll bend or break the pins. So I get these two pushed together and they line up pretty well. Now, one thing I will note is when you are mixing the two brands, the Ross Custom Switches is a slightly thinner profile. It's only by maybe 2 or 3 sheets of paper thicker or thinner, but it's enough. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this down and I'm going to wiggle side to side and it'll come right out. Soldering to the track. So I'm going to cover soldering in another video, but there's one thing important to note on both brands of track here. This black rail has some kind of oil or residue or something on it, and solder doesn't like to stick to it. So the number one thing I recommend if you are going to be soldering your feeders to the rails is just scratch it up a little bit. You can use a little box knife. I've actually got a little round file that I use personally. I've also actually used a little Dremel tool with an abrasive wheel on it to just go ahead and clean a little spot. But you want a little silver spot wherever you're going to solder to the black rail. And you can always paint that black again later on, but it's very important that it be clean, otherwise the solder is not going to grab properly. The silver rails, however, you don't actually have to tin those, you don't have to scrape them up. The solder readily sticks to it, no problem. So with that said, thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like it And if you want to see more, please subscribe. This is going to become a weekly occurrence. I'm going to go ahead and try and upload every week for you guys. If you have an idea for another video you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you'd like to see, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.